And we are back for another episode of Zaddy Ball. What's happening? Let's obviously a lot is happening. Kyler Murray staying in Cardinal. Jimmy Garoppolo's gotten permission to seek a trade, although Matt Mayoko put out on Twitter looked like 49ers gave him that permission since March. Debo Samuel, a little I don't know if it's update or just smoke since it is my pro football talk. We'll go ahead and get into all of that. But most importantly, the San Francisco Giants are the one out of 7 teams to reach out to the Washington Nationals in regards to Juan Soto. That's my
Yankees
squad,
too.
but come on.
No, come on, nothing. Judge is leaving. Come on, nothing.
Yeah. So the Giants are going to get Juan Soto. They're going to give up the farm. That's fine because then they're going to sign Aaron Judge in the offseason. And then that team's just going to be stacked. I'm just like, that's a hopeful Giants fan in me. But seeing the track record with Farhan Zaidi here, like they're not going to get Juan Soto. And then they're going to pick up someone on the waiver wire and have that guy hit like 275. And then we're going to get all hyped about that. It comes full circle. But I don't want to sound too depressed here. Jay, how's it going?
I mean, it's really hot over here. And I just want to say, Giants fans and Niners fans, handshake emoji, not signing players that are a lot of money that you want as a fan. So, don't get your hopes up.
So Odell Beckham's not coming.
Odell Beckham's not coming. Not even Julio Jones. Not even Julio Jones in his Washington State is coming, man. It's like the 49ers and the Giants are like, oh, the fans really want this guy? Not a chance. We're not doing that. Not a chance. So,
facts. Steph, what's going on?
Well, Leo, first I want to say that I'm liking the drip you have on today. Very like icy blue, baby blue. I'm feeling it. I like it, and I like the
Appreciate
hat.
it.
Go
Like,
Giants!
I rarely rock blue at all. So like seeing myself in this camera right now with so much blue, like it feels weird. Internally, it feels weird. Like I feel a little awkward, but once I saw this hat online, I was like, yo, I gotta snag it. I got to snag it. But let's get into it. Let's talk some 49ers here. Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously, that's been the whole story of the week, more so than a Nick Bosa and a Debo Samuel contract extension. It's been about Jimmy Garoppolo, and those things are kind of parallel, and that's kind of why we're there. 5 teams have reached out about Jimmy Garoppolo. Reportedly, the Falcons are one of them, even though they have Marcus Mariota under contract. They drafted Spencer, not Spencer. I'm thinking Spencer Rattler, that transfer from Oklahoma.
Desmond.
They drafted Ritter.
Not the Riddler. No, he's in Gotham.
Yo, like you got all this superhero stuff in my head. You got me.
I'm in the blank background. I took all that away.
No. It still stays there. You know how many episodes we did together? Come on now. Like, don't act like that. It just goes away. So with that going on, it's just what is a possible scenario with Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, what team is going to reach out? Do you think that the Falcons have real interest? Like, what's his market? What's Jimmy Garoppolo's market? Let's start with you, Jay.
Well, I didn't really think that the Falcons would be in on it, but then you start to think about who's there and how it's possible. You start with Ryan Pace, who was enamored with Jimmy Garoppolo with Sean Payton when he was coming out of Eastern Illinois. And then I was just on Grant's show, and I think we both kind of had a light bulb go off in our head to the point of Ryan Tannehill left Miami, right, to back up Marcus Mariota in Tennessee with Arthur Smith, and then eventually took that job over. Well, Arthur Smith is in Atlanta with Marcus Mariota, and Jimmy Garoppolo is in that similar position where he should be a starter. Now, why is that? It should be a starter. Maybe goes to Atlanta and is the bridge from himself to Ritter, which is what Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be pretty much for the rest of his career at this point, is a bridge quarterback, I believe, a bridge. Like, he's just going to be the guy that will hold you down for a little while you're getting to your next point. I thought another one was really interesting, the Detroit Lions. Just when we're about to get hard knocks and you think, oh, God, we're going to be stuck with the Detroit Lions, a camp competition between the ultimate QB wins quarterbacks would be electric television for the Detroit Lions. And then the Miami Dolphins popped up. Who knows? Would he be a backup for Tua? Mike McDaniel likes him. They have a much better roster. What's his market? I have no idea. The 49ers likely would have to pick up some sort of money on this deal if they sent him over there. And And it just depends on how badly whatever team would want him. At this point, Atlanta seems like the only spot that he could really land that if he wanted to win a starting job, but he might have to wait a little bit because he'd get there late and have to learn all this stuff, even though Arthur Smith runs a lot of what Shanahan runs. But Atlanta's starting to feel a little bit more and more like possible, I think. So that's what I'll say. I'll say that there's a little bit of I'm opening the door. Not leave the door open, by Bruno Mars and Peck. I'm keeping the door ajar. Leave the door ajar. Is what we're gonna say. So that's what I'm doing with his market.
He said ajar. Leave the door ajar.
I'm old, Steph, man. That old people terminology comes in like cut off the light, the door's ajar, go for it, Steph.
Oh my God.
Tell me your age without telling me your age. Go ahead, Steph.
Right. Well, first I want to start off by just saying that I don't know if I completely can put my full trust in, this report, right? Like respectfully.
Yeah, real quick too.
Yeah.
It was from Cam Marino, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is a parody account because Cam rhymes with Dan, and it just sounds. I was like, wait a minute, I was like, are we getting like trolled by Barry again? Oh, my bad, I just had to throw it in this stuff.
No, that's a good point. One, I've never heard of Cam Marino before. He's verified on Twitter, but we all know that being verified on Twitter does not give you the license to be believed, like it doesn't mean I have to trust you. He only has 3,000, 4,000 followers or something like that. Not that followers are everything, but if you are out here breaking news, I would assume that you would have, more followers than that. That being said, he is a, beat writer or, a content guy for the Falcons. So if I can believe anything, I'd probably lean towards the Falcons part. And also, like, just for all the reasons that Jay just mentioned, the Ryan Pace connection, I think it does make sense, actually. And that's one thing that we didn't really, think too much about this whole time. But since their name is brought up, it's like, oh, yeah, like that does make sense. So could I convince myself to believe that any of these teams are interested? Sure. Like, I could. Some of these do make sense. Dolphins is interesting to me. Just considering the fact that they have Tua. The jury is still out on Tua, but I'm not sure if the difference between Tua and Jimmy Garoppolo are that great at this moment in time. Same thing with the Lions. That would be a thing to see, right? But again, as we mentioned before in earlier episodes, like I don't see any of these teams wrecking their plans for Jimmy Garoppolo, because what really is the difference between what they have already and Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't see the difference being big enough to do that. And also I want to say that interest in calling a team does not guarantee a trade. Like we know that goes without saying. Most teams are going to wait and I think see what happens, and they're going to call the 49ers bluff. And I think it's a game of chicken at this point. So if there's some interest, I could believe that, but I don't think enough to garner a trade at this point.
One thing that just happened before we went on, the Cleveland Browns added another quarterback.
Right.
Josh Rosen. Yeah. Cleveland's out. If you didn't believe Cleveland was out before, they're out. They're out. It's done. There's no way that's happening. So.
Because of Rosen?
Well, that's their practice squad quarterback, Brissett. And obviously Watson's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. And then Josh Dobbs will back up Brissett. It's done. It's done. There's no way that Cleveland's in on them, and they know what's going to happen with Watson now at this point. So,
yeah, for the most part, I agree with that. I saw Lombardi say earlier, like, Rosen doesn't really change anything, and I agree with that. And also, if Watson is out more than half the season, then at that point they might consider, something else. But again, is Jimmy Garoppolo really like that much of a boost over Brissett? I don't know.
I think so. So. I personally think so.
Of course.
It's just come on. If let's keep it real. If Deshaun Watson's out 8 games, that could be the difference maker of like that's a significant chunk. That could be the difference maker of Cleveland making or not making the playoffs. And I think
Yeah.
Garoppolo is a significant upgrade over Jacoby Brissett. And that's kind of why their careers, like Brissett had an opportunity to, do something with the Colts, but didn't. But I'm not going to sit here and preach like Jimmy Garoppolo is, something else as well. But I'm just comparing apples to apples, and give me the green apple in Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't want the red apple. That's the free lunch at school. I don't touch those.
You Granny Smith liker. Look, we have a donation too. You got to get to.
Yes, I'm going to get to that. Right, I'm going to get to that soon. I just wanted to touch on the Detroit Lions. I'm calling cap. Like, come on, it's like the Lions are paying Jared Goff a significant amount of money. They're paying him $31.1 million. That's his cap hit this year. Do we really think they're going to give up draft capital and go trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, even if it's in a rework deal? Do you think they're going to pay him at least 10? And give up a pick?
Counterpoint, Leo. It's the Lions.
Jesus Christ,
you're starting to.
Man.
You're starting.
Man.
I think you're insinuating that they're a really well-run franchise that made great decisions. Like, I think that that's what you're trying to insinuate.
No, hell no. I'm just saying, like, Captain Obvious moment. You're going to pay $45 million or so to Jared Goff and Jimmy Garoppolo. No one is doing that in the National Football League. I don't care if it's the Detroit Lions, the 2010 Cleveland Browns. Nobody is freaking doing that.
The Browns are paying Baker Mayfield 10 to play in Carolina. They're paying Jacoby Brissett. They've sent a lot of cash to Deshaun Watson in a bonus.
But it's also Deshaun Watson, not Jimmy Garoppolo.
The same.
Although I take Jimmy Garoppolo, the person, 10 out of 10. But that's a different discussion. Now I wanted to get on the Falcons. I find that one interesting because guess what? There's a shot that this Falcons team is 0-3 to start the year. And there's a chance Jimmy Garoppolo may not be ready to start the year. So if Marcus Mariota goes out there, goes over 3, remember they're New Orleans, at Los Angeles Rams, and then at Seattle. Like, let's not act like, we all know what Seattle is, but the Falcons don't have an impressive roster. The Falcons are, 2 West Coast trips, like on the road to start the year early when you're not essentially the best version of yourself with the new quarterback regime there. I don't know if they could pull that off. I'm not putting the Falcons as a favorite in Seattle for week 3. Hell, there may be even Seattle fans because it's so early in the season. We know week 10, they're probably going to be out of there, but week 3, they're probably still going to be in their seats. So it's like, there's a very solid chance the Falcons are 0-3 to start the season. And then that's like a perfect spot for Jimmy Garoppolo to go in there. Week 4, 0 quarterback competition. Mariota, you had your shot. You lost. It's 0-3. Like, I don't think anyone's expecting the Falcons to be any type of competitive this year. And this is different than Seattle because Seattle has no succession at quarterback. Obviously, the Falcons hope that Ritter is that succession at quarterback. That's why they drafted him over Malik Willis. They hope he's the succession. They hope he's the next guy. So when it comes to, we're going to roll with Mariota. What happens. We'll end up with one of the top 2 guys in the draft next year. That's not necessarily the case that the Falcons are going to be making. And if you're the Falcons, I think you want Ritter to have a redshirt year. If Mariota goes out there, goes 0-3 or 1-5, 2-6 to start the year,
or gets hurt
like he does. Now there goes Ritter's redshirt season. Like, he's in there. He's the guy now.
One more thing that I would point out too to this is, Arthur Smith is there, but this is a results league, and your front office might get impatient if you completely lose 10, 12 games. They are better. I was just saying that. Of course they're better. But if you lose 10, 12 games again, right? Last year you did. This year you did. And then you lose that many games. It doesn't matter if you have Ritter as your succession plan. You're not going to get to see that get done because they're going to fire you and move on to the next guy. So maybe Arthur Smith feels the pressure. Maybe Arthur Smith feels the pressure a little bit to win at least a few games and show, hey, look, I got competent quarterback play. We're moving this thing in the right direction, especially when this is a big transition for Atlanta from Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, it's a changing of the guard in terms of like who are the superstars there. Calvin Ridley's not even there. So you have to show that you can find a way to win ball games even with a barren roster. I think that's what Kyle Shanahan showed a little bit even in that first year that the team wasn't winning. Is you saw the signs of the offense. You saw the signs, and then Jimmy went in there, and then what happened? 5 games, and you feel great going forward. Now we know what happens after that. But maybe Arthur Smith feels like that. I don't know.
So Gammon Brown, appreciate you as always, my guy. Like you literally spend time out of your day every time we go live to sit here, talk 49ers football with us. You're active in the chat. You're active in the super chat. So all love, Gammon. His Gammon said, stop withholding your information from the fans and they'll tell them the truth for once. Truth. Jimmy traded to Green Bay for Rodgers, D4 to Kansas City for Mahomes. Niners run Wildcat with Lance, Rodgers, and Mahomes. Woo!
That's some Madden shit right there.
Finally. That T-bone going crazy.
Finally, man. I mean,
the wishbone going crazy.
I'm tired of all of these like moves that like, oh, well, there's football sense. Now let's get a little crazy over here. Like, you got to do drastic things to bring home the 6th Lombardi. We've been on the quest for 6 for a long time.
Fuck them picks.
We need Steph's face in there, and then with the quote, "Fuck them picks."
Yeah.
Like, please, no one do that.
No, please don't do that. But the Falcons actually are intriguing though. Like they're the ones that like. Okay, I'm talking myself into it.
Let's talk about it. Niner by Nature 88, who's always here in the comments with us as well, said, "No one wants Jimmy, so buy or sell. Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded."
Steph.
Sell. I say sell. I mean, I don't think there's any team interested in Jimmy Garoppolo to the point of desperation to trade for him and give up any like draft capital to get him. You know what I mean? So I think most teams are just going to wait and see if he gets released. The window of opportunity to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, I would say the best window of opportunity has already passed, and all of the teams know this. So they're just going to wait at this point. There's no reason that, to make any drastic moves for any team right now.
Yeah, and I sell as well. And I think it's for the same reason. The league is kind of playing chicken with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo's next step is to be a backup somewhere, take that job over, or just, get signed next year to start somewhere. But he is a bridge quarterback going forward. Like, he is going to be that guy that will hold your franchise down while you're either grooming your rookie or you're waiting to make your next move, whatever it is, unfortunately. Starter in this league, very valuable. And a lot of guys were that, like, towards the end of their career. Andy Dalton was that for a long time, where he just bounced around and they're like, hey, you're here for a year, we'll move you on, like that type of thing. But, I think everybody's just kind of waiting for them to cut him at this point, because the only thing that could happen is training camp opens next week for most teams. Few teams are already in training camp. God forbid, because I want to knock on wood, I am not wishing for this, because I hate to hear this about any athlete, doesn't matter what sport, what team, anything like that, is it would take a starting quarterback on a playoff team or something like that to go down with like a season-ending injury or something like that. And then that would put the urgency on that team, because Jimmy is the last guy to go get. I don't want that to happen, but I think that's why the 49ers feel like they are just going to slow play this as much as they can. And then I think eventually it just ends up where Jimmy's team, when they get closer to the season, just asks for an outright release and just says, we have to go. And I think that's the best situation for both parties, because I do think that Jimmy's a starter. I do believe that in the bottom of my heart that he's a starter. He deserves to start. I don't think he should hold the clipboard after he went to a Super Bowl and an NFC championship. Like, I genuinely feel for the guy in that way. Like, imagine being him. I gave you all the success. You guys hadn't done anything until I got here. Now you want me to sit back and hold a clipboard? I don't think that he would have that in him. And that's not him being a bad teammate. That's not him being selfish. That is knowing your worth. And I am all about our kings and queens knowing their worth.
I will say this. I'm going to have to sell it as well. Russell James in the comments says he'll probably be cut / release is going to happen. Niner by Nature getting me hyped in the comments saying, get Trent Williams ring, get Kittle a ring. Like, yo, get me a ring too. While we at it.
You got a ring.
Super Bowl ring?
A wedding ring. That's better than any Super Bowl ring, my friend.
That is true.
The gift of love.
That
I'm
is
trying
true.
to help you out here.
That is true. I'm gonna have to replay this. So let's start from the top so I can show my wife. I'm kidding.
Right.
What's it called? I think the only possible scenario is 49ers take money back, but I think they only do it for a player. I don't think they take money back outright. I think they'll do it for a player and a pick. And a team that I look at that could possibly move off a player of significant salary. Hear me out. Everybody says Trey Lance needs to sit another year. Why not Zach Wilson? Why not Zach? Hold on. The Jets selected Max Mitchell. He's a tackle. And he's a guy who could probably start in year one. At least I would think so, from what I saw from him in college. They have a guy on the last year of their deal in Noah Fant. Is Mike McGlinchey going to be ready? Is Trent Williams, are they going to have a situation where Trent Williams, has to sit out a game, whatever it may be, because that's what happened the year last year where Trent Williams had to miss week 17. The year before, Trent Williams missed a game, although that was due to COVID. Who knows? That COVID's still around. That could happen again. You could either keep Noah Fant on the team. It'll be like $11 million cap hit, or you could cut him and save $10 million. Up to you. But I think a player for player plus a day 3 pick is a possible scenario. And I look at the Jets because obviously offensive coordinator there in LaFleur. You have Robert Saleh as your head coach. The familiarities there within the offense, the language. I don't know. I'm not predicting that. First off, I am not predicting that. You didn't hear me predict it. I'm just saying that's a possible scenario that I could see player for player and a late round pick, day 3 pick.
He's not saying. He's just saying.
So Zach Wilson.
Did I say a different Wilson?
Yeah, no, because you said Noah Fant.
Oh, yeah. Trade. Yeah, they would get Noah Fant and like a day 3 pick in return for Jimmy Garoppolo, and then if Zach Wilson, just shows strides to where it's like, he has to play. We can't. I don't know.
I'm confused. Seattle's in on this deal.
Seattle where? Fans with the Jets.
Noah Fant is a Seattle Seahawk, my friend. He's traded with Drew Lock. Yes.
Oh,
yes, Leo. Yes, Leo. Noah Fant, the tight end. He went with
George Fant. My bad.
George Fant, the lineman. Here we go.
George
now
Fant.
We're rolling. Okay. Got it. Okay.
There you go.
They should just trade Lakin back to us.
That's not a scenario. That's not a scenario.
Wait, can we look at this comment real quick? Because J-Lo's catching strays in the comments over here. Someone said Jennifer Lopez has a better arm. And wait, there's 2 comments that are just ridiculous. Okay, yeah,
hey,
more rings.
You leave Batman's wife alone. All right.
Has better arm and more mobility. I mean both of those things are true.
Are we wrong? Is that wrong?
Not wrong.
Those things are true.
She does have better
George
mobility.
I should say George Fant. His cap hit's about $11 million it would be for the 49ers. But it's also a scenario to where the 49ers are like, McGlinchey's good. We're going to trust our reserves. If we need someone to spot start, we're just going to cut them and save $10 million rather than eating like $10 million outright. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think it would have, that's just a scenario I gave. It's not one I'm predicting, but I am selling that he'll be traded. I think he'll be released. The only way he'll be traded, I believe, would be player for player plus a late round pick for the 49ers.
What have we done in this comment section? It is just unleashed
some
big pause. Big pause, Paul.
Paul. Either Deebo Samuel or
I'd say Deebo Samuel before
or Kyle Lowry. One of those 2.
Guys, please.
Okay.
God.
So, with the Zach Wilson thing, I mean, of course that's feasible, but I mean, I think you just got to let him grow. Like they already started him in that year. Yeah, I mean, the only other place that I could think of, and I'm gonna throw out a wild take myself. It's the place.
Yeah, mine was a fucking wild ass take.
It's the other team that plays in MetLife, and their season ticket holders, they would love an Italian quarterback who wins to start for them. Those season ticket holders are, we need a winner. We need a guy back there who could do it. I got a guy for you, and he's going to be good for your locker room. The only thing they'd have to do is they're pretty pressed up against the cap. It's $4.3 million. What they would have to do is restructure the deal and then extend him for one more year and keep your cap hit down. Daniel Jones wasn't picked. They didn't pick up his fifth-year option. I wouldn't do that myself. Here's why. I would rather see what Daniel Jones is with this 1 year, and you're not tied to him. And he might do you the favor of getting you a high pick just by playing and seeing what he is with Brian Daboll. But if you want to appease your fan base, because whenever I ask any of my Italian Giants friends, I love Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, you guys are crazy for trying to get rid of him. Maybe
Jimmy's a lot better than Drew Lock.
And a lot better than Daniel Jones. A lot better than Daniel Jones.
That's what I meant. Daniel Jones. Yeah. My bad.
We're not
messing up names today.
No, we're good. It's just we're not I think the slander has gotten a little too loud on Jimmy now.
Yes.
He's trash. He's better than a lot of guys. A lot of guys. It just depends. Will that team blow up their plans for him? Yeah. I could see the Giants maybe doing that. They would have to work the contract. You can do that. Cap hit, switch all that around and everything. Someone made a very interesting point to me on Twitter about
give us Saquon in return, right?
Give us Saquon, Blake Martinez, and Kenny Golladay, and we're good. We can just call it a day. No, somebody made a really good point too. If Brian Daboll is truly trying to evaluate his roster, you need stability at the quarterback position to figure out what your linemen are, what your wide receivers are. Because Daniel Jones is a bit of a freestyler, right? Like, he still hasn't really figured it out. So there's two schools of thoughts. Do you roll with Jones and you see what it is and you're not tied to him because they didn't pick up his fifth-year option and then you could start over? Or do you start to present to your fan base, we're changing the culture one way, and then Jimmy could be the guy while you get your next guy and continue to be that bridge for them? So maybe the Giants could be somebody that's in there. It feels like if somebody's going to trade for him, it would be somebody that we haven't thought of. Like completely disregarded. Not necessarily one of these five teams that Cam Marino, not Dan, Cam Marino says. That was so wild to me. I'm like, this is a parody account?
Yeah. Also, it's like for Daniel Jones' sake, even if Jimmy Garoppolo did go over there, maybe the Giants get Daniel Jones for the low next season as an unrestricted free agent. Because where else is he going to go? Like, come on.
I'd take Daniel Jones as a backup.
Exactly. He would have to do the Trubisky route unless he stayed with New York Giants and then goes, okay, we'll give you a chance to compete for the job, because him and Garoppolo at that point would be unrestricted free agents. Now I'm getting way ahead of myself. Gammon Brown coming through clutch as always. I hold Steph accountable for the comment section. Fuck them picks. Steph Sanchez.
Man, he even dated
21st of July, 2022. Hey, if you guys are in here, screen grab this so we can save the date.
Oh no!
Every year we're gonna have an anniversary for this. Lastly, this is the last time we'll talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, and we'll move on.
We'll see. Don't let your mouth cash checks.
Maybe
for this episode.
Yeah, yes.
There you go.
Jay.
What?
Is there a scenario where Jimmy? I want to hear you guys in the comments as well. Is there a scenario where Jimmy can stay and be Trace backup?
There's a scenario, sure, but I don't want that, and I don't think Jimmy wants that. The Steve Young, Joe Montana parallel was thrown out today, right? A few reasons why that's not the same. Steve Young, there's no salary cap. So if the 49ers wanted to have Steve Young, Steve DeBerg, Y.A. Tittle, John Brody, Joe Montana, every single quarterback under the sun, they could, because there was no salary cap. Steve Young didn't start because they were trying to transition to him. Steve Young started because Joe Montana was largely injured in 91 and 92. I don't know if anybody's seen the Peacock documentary about Joe Montana, but George Seifert dismissed Joe Montana from the team when he was around because he was being a distraction. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have to say anything, doesn't have to do anything to be a distraction to Trey Lance and his development. Here's why. Trey Lance has a bad quarter. Trey Lance has a bad half. Trey Lance has a bad game. Jimmy, start Jimmy, man. Look at all the games we won with Jimmy. How can you not be playing Jimmy at this point? If Nate Sudfeld's the backup, nobody's crying for Nate Sudfeld. Either you're going to turn this thing all the way around to Trey, or you're not. That's where I'm at with it. Jimmy would never say anything publicly because Jimmy's a good teammate in that way. There's no question about that. The problem is the locker room really loves him too. You want to divide that locker room? You want to create noise around Trey Lance? You can't do it. You have to turn this thing over to him. So I understand the sentiment of why not keep the best backup quarterback in football because he's actually a starter. But you have to do this to just free Trey Lance of this discussion, of anybody even bringing it up, because then they would only be bringing up a hypothetical, and that's something that could possibly happen. And he would hear those things. That's where I'm at with it.
Just look at how much we've talked about Jimmy Garoppolo this offseason. Now imagine that during the season when actual meaningful football is happening, because it would be the same. We'd still be talking about Jimmy Garoppolo if he were to stay on this roster. Do I see him as a backup? Really, I see no world where Jimmy Garoppolo stays as a backup with the 49ers. But then again, crazier things have happened. To me, this may all come down to who in this situation has the bigger ego, because releasing Jimmy Garoppolo after, all of this means that the 49ers have to admit that, they were wrong in overvaluing him. It means giving up and giving him away basically for nothing not basically nothing, for nothing in free agency. So are the 49ers ready to do that? I think they're going to hold on to him until they absolutely have to, until his salary becomes guaranteed. But ultimately, I do think they'll release him right before then. They don't want to be stuck with him for all of the reasons that Jay mentioned as well. But if Jimmy does stay as a backup, as I was saying, it does require Jimmy and Don Yee to admit that, maybe they weren't as good as they thought. Well, okay, I don't want to say
that they overestimated their market.
Yeah, there you go. And then they didn't play this right. And I don't know. It just, someone has to, be wrong in this case. Their ego has to get hurt. And I don't know who's going to come out on top. But I think the right thing for the 49ers to do, obviously, is to release Jimmy Garoppolo, before his salary becomes guaranteed.
I'm glad Kelt said this in the comments. And with the technology today, it would be much worse than Montana and Young, regardless of Trey's composure. The media would be relentless every other moment. Let's keep something in mind. It's not just a locker room that loves Jimmy Garoppolo. How, besides Grant Cohn, maybe KP a few times, how many, media members in the press conference really came at Jimmy Garoppolo during his bad performances? How often? None. They love the guy. So if Trey has a bad game or whatever it is, doesn't come through during the clutch moment, hey, Kyle, what's up with Jimmy? Kyle,
any thought about bringing Jimmy in this quarter? Those are the questions.
And the difference with that as well, it's, because that happened back then, with Montana and everything, but it's social media. And families and players really look at that. Trey Young admitted himself that his mom sends him things. George Kittle's mom sends him things. Back during the Montana and Young, none of their family members were sending them anything, because guess what? It wasn't there. Shocker, right, guys. It wasn't there.
Look, and I don't want to date myself, but my father is the one who gave me the game with the 49ers, right? I remember clearly my father saying, I will not root for this team if they get rid of Joe Montana. And that was a discussion in barbershops and things like that. I never lived on the East Coast, on the West Coast, but in the East Coast, that was things that were discussed. My father and many other 49er fans wanted to walk out because of them getting rid of Joe Montana. Now, they felt stupid 2 years into it, 3 years into it, when Steve Young was literally the highest rated passer of all time, and he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks of all time. They didn't know that what was happening. But think about that discussion being exacerbated with 25 seconds of typing and then hitting tweet, 25 seconds of being under somebody's comments and things like that. We all know that there are factions on this. And this is the weird part about it. It's the people who are ready to see something new and the people that would rather be right and say, I told you to stick with Jimmy. These people, they're going to be loud even whether Jimmy's on the team or not, because they're always going to say, well, look, this is what you moved on from. But they grow this much louder if there is a possibility that you can move on to Jimmy Garoppolo. You cannot do that to the kid. If you're truly invested in this kid and you're ready to roll with him, because I guarantee you nobody's going to say, we want Nate, even though I need the Sudfeld slander to chill out because he's still not that bad. But yeah. But again, backup quarterbacks are usually not good. That's not ideal to go to a backup quarterback. And the reason that Jimmy's the best backup quarterback is because he's a starting quarterback.
I will also say comparing Joe Montana and Steve Young's situation to Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance just feels out of pocket.
It is out of pocket. What I'm saying is this. Look, what I meant by it was this, because I called it out.
No, I've seen it out on Twitter. Yeah. So I'm not calling
it's out of pocket for a few reasons. There was no salary cap. Jimmy Garoppolo is not the greatest quarterback of all time. That's not who you're replacing. Like, there's many things to talk about. What I'm talking about is this: the locker room division that could happen, because this locker room loves Jimmy. That locker room loved Joe. And George Seifert had to excuse Joe Montana because he was being a distraction, even if he wasn't saying anything in the press. And that's what Jimmy Garoppolo would do. Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to say anything in the press, but this locker room has his back. All of these guys love him. No matter what we think, this locker room loves him. And rightfully so. Think about it. How many guys were here with Jim Tomsula? How many guys had got their first taste of success with Jimmy Garoppolo? So I get that part. You have to cut that out. So now the locker room can't say, well, they should roll with Jimmy. And the media can't say it and the fans can't say it. Obviously, it's not an apples to apples comparison. What I'm talking about is that.
I'll say this. If there's any quarterback that can go from starting caliber to backup without being a distraction, I would place my money on Jimmy Garoppolo if there was one guy that can do it. Mm-hmm. He could have been a distraction last season. Obviously, we don't know what happens behind closed doors and what gets said during, one-on-one conversations, maybe Jimmy to Kittle or Jimmy to Trent or whatever, Jimmy to Juice, like whatever it is, like we will never know those conversations unless they came out probably after they're retired. But it's just, if there's one quarterback that can do it, I would think Jimmy Garoppolo would be that guy. Would that personally be my choice? No, but man, you're putting a lot of hope in Trey Lance to at least stay healthy. Because that's what I mean by I understand if they wanted to give it a try, because we've seen what happens when the starter gets out of the lineup for games. Yeah. 49ers suck. Like when it's the backup, they're not good. They're not competitive.
Most teams aren't.
They're a top 15 pick. Yeah, most teams are. Like, absolutely. That's why quarterback is so significant that it is that position. But what I'm saying is, based on what Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch had a deal when Jimmy Garoppolo was out, it won't surprise me if they go, you know what? I don't want to go through that situation if Trey's out. But as you said, Niner by nature, hell, nah.
Leo,
nah.
One more thing.
It's not that I would want to see it. Like, I wouldn't want to see it. It's just I wouldn't be shocked is what I'm saying.
One more thing. I commend Jimmy Garoppolo for the way that he handled everything last year. I mean, Baker Mayfield, the Browns flirted with Deshaun Watson for 2 days, and this man broke down. Like, he was on podcasts crying, sending out letters. Jimmy handled it perfectly. But what I found the most interesting was on Jimmy's exit interview about how was it dealing with this, with the Trey thing. And he literally said, I wouldn't wish this on anyone. It weighed on him heavily. Now, you want that man that used those exact words to hold a clipboard, smile, and sit back? I doubt he wants to do that.
I
I
just
very much doubt wants to do
Yeah, I don't think it happens. I think if they come to a point, I think Jimmy and his team will ask for a release. And when I say his team, I'm talking about his agents and his
Mhm.
supporting staff, not the 49ers. I think they would ask for a release at that point if it came down to it. I don't think he'll roll into the season in San Francisco 49er. I think he would much more want to earn a spot with another team than hold the clipboard for the 49ers for his successor, essentially.
that. That's
Right. And
Are we
tough.
even
done?
Yeah.
damn,
No,
okay.
let Steph go.
Go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, he handled everything like as perfectly as you could in that situation last season, and of course, you don't want him to go through that again. But if there was any scenario in which that was presented to him, and let's just say he was like cool with it, yeah, he would handle it well, but you also can't control the media. You can't control fans. That aspect is still going to be out of control. Like we know that based on last season, based on even this offseason has been like hell in terms of like this whole Jimmy versus Trey talk. And so I think even just for that reason, yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo may be great in that situation, but you can't control everyone else. So I think for that reason alone, like you can't risk having that distraction. And it's not for Jimmy being a distraction. He would
Nope.
be perfect, but it's for everything else.
And just because the 49ers went through Steve Young and Joe Montana transition, they it's still the same family essentially owning the 49ers. They could tell themselves internally as a family, we don't want to go through that again.
Yeah.
So just because it happened once doesn't mean that it should happen again or will happen again. But fast forwarding things past Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, I'm just so ready for Trey Lance. Just there. Um, it's similar situation here. Kyler Murray was obviously unhappy with his contract situation. Scrubbed the Arizona Cardinals from his Instagram. That sounds familiar, right? Oh
Wait,
yeah, that's right.
and he got paid?
Yes, he got paid. That he got paid.
What?
So you know what? I need to scrub anything that I have from my work.
From your company and let them know I need a raise.
Exactly. I'm gonna do that. I'm not sure. I don't post my company on social media, so I gotta figure something out. I gotta
Most
scrub
people
something.
don't.
I gotta scrub something. So it's Kyler Murray did that. He got paid. He did not formally ask for a trade, as some people have said on Twitter. He did not formally ask for a trade, but obviously that put everyone in a, what do you call it, Steph? Tizzy?
Yes.
Nice.
Twitter tizzy.
Love that.
So it's Debo Samuel. Obviously, that's why we're talking about it. Did the same thing. Looks like he's in San Francisco. Are these situations parallel? Can they be relatable to where you could see Debo Samuel getting paid here soon? Let me go with Steph first.
Yeah, I mean, of course there are parallels here. I don't think. I think what we're seeing though is that like any of this social media drama, I don't think it really truly affects any team relationships as much as fans think. We're very much involved in like social media, right? Most humans are, but when it comes to players and teams, I don't think they're really bothered by anything that happens on social media like that. So, archiving or deleting pictures, whatever, I don't think any of that really matters. And I mean, even Kyle Shanahan, he's literally said the same thing. Like, it's about the relationships face to face. And they always knew, they being Debo Samuel and Kyle Shanahan, they always knew that they had like a good relationship off of social media, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the main thing, and of course, like we see this going in a better direction already since all of that happened. the pictures still are not on his Instagram, but just based on reports, like we know this is heading in the right direction, and those pictures will be back as soon as that extension is signed. Best believe it. So yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about it one bit, but I'm not surprised that fans think it's a much bigger deal than it is.
So Tom Pelissero came out and said that there's nothing imminent with Deebo Samuel going forward. And don't get it twisted, Tom Pelissero has been the mouthpiece for Deebo Samuel. He's the one who literally broke all of the things that we know for a fact, not speculation in any way. Don't know what the relationship between Pelissero and Samuel is, but every time something comes out, it's Pelissero, and he's usually dead on because it's coming from Deebo. So sure, nothing's imminent. I think the IG scrubbing is, you didn't have an issue with, the outraged fan. I'm talking to you. Your outrage was misplaced. It's not with the player, it's with the generation and the negotiation tactic. Okay? Certain players, don't point to me about Fred Warner never did that and George Kittle. That's not how they move. Those are completely different people. Some people use social media as a tool to negotiate. Kyler Murray did it, he got paid. AJ Brown did it, he got traded, and he got paid. Deebo Samuel did it, he's about to get paid. So your outrage and anger is misplaced. It's not with the player, it's with the generation that they're going through right now. This is it. This is the new wave of the future. Deebo Samuel's not going to be the last person to do this. Neither is Kyler Murray, neither is AJ Brown. It's not with the player. Your issue is with the generation. One other thing. Deebo Samuel's not disrespecting you, the fan. Come on. He's not disrespecting the team. He wants what he's owed. And why wouldn't he? When you play this game, it's a good chance that you're going to get hurt for the rest of your career. And again, I've made this point before. When the team has no more use for you and your knee is blown out and they can't use you anymore, they don't say, hey, we'll just give you some money. They say, get out of my building. We're done with you. You don't play football for us anymore. And then you just fade away. So look, your anger, whatever it was first of all overboard. Right off the bat, it was overboard because I never batted an eye at the IG stuff. It's just the new wave of the future. Your anger shouldn't have been towards the player. Should be towards the generation and the negotiating tactics of the new generation, which is where we're at right now. Deebo Samuel is going to get paid, by the way. Doesn't have to be now. And he'll go to training camp. If there is no deal, they'll work him on the side and tell him, hey, listen, you don't got to participate. We know you don't want you to put your body in harm's way or anything like that, but let's keep negotiating in good faith. It'll get done. It'll get done. But I think that, again, a lot of people have to adjust the way that they think. George Kittle wouldn't have done that. Fred Warner wouldn't have done that. They're cut from different cloths. Don't compare people's situations and how they move. And just because Deebo did that doesn't make him selfish. He just had a different way of going about it. That's it. And, when you say, well, this player from the 80s, he never had social media. That stuff has never been. So, again, it's the generation. Your anger should be at the new way that this is going to be going forward with players. Wait till Justin Jefferson is up for his contract. Ooh-wee. That man is going to do whatever the hell he wants, and he deserves every single dollar. Every single person that's going to be going forward as we dip further and further into the social media game is going to deal with this the way they want. Some will not scrub. Some will. And almost all of them will be paid. Mm-hmm. Just the way it is. Leo?
Now, why did Tom Pelissero say that?
What is going on with Pelissero?
Why did he say that?
I love that we're using that so much.
Because Deebo's trainer posted a video the day before saying he's about to get paid. It takes a single text or call from Pelissero to say, hey, are you about to be paid? And Deebo can simply just reply, no. Nothing is done. So what is Pelissero's next move? No deal is imminent. Like, shocker, guys. This is breaking news. Like, to me, it's not breaking news. Like, it's.
I only believe it if Schefter says it.
It's pretty simple to, put the puzzle pieces together here. Now, I'm not even the foil cap. Just the puzzle pieces here together. Okay, literally less than 24 hours ago, Deebo's trainer said he is about to be paid, and now Pelissero, who, as Jason said, has been putting all this news about Deebo Samuel that has been facts that Debo's been going to. Now Pelissero said a deal's not going to happen soon. Well, yeah, his trainer just went and said something, and Pelissero's checking in on it. Debo's saying, no, it's, we're still in the same stage. So, yeah, like, it's not news. To me, news is when, per sources, Deebo Samuel and San Francisco 49ers have agreed to terms of a new contract. Like, to me, that'll be news. Until it's there, nothing here is breaking news. Until it's there, Deebo Samuel's trade request is not going to be rescinded. They have to get there first, and then that'll be the breaking news here on the situation. If Deebo's trainer never posted that video, this Pelissero news that we're calling would have never came out today if his trainer doesn't post that video. I firmly believe that, but this wouldn't have received an update today. So, with that being said, we know the final straw here. It's Jimmy Garoppolo's contract. Yep, it's what you signed Deebo to a 5-year deal. How much do you give him? 40.
I give him, whatever is in the 1 to 3 range of annual average value, and call it a day. And
let's just say 40. Okay. You spread that over the 5 years. Quick math. That's about $8 million per year.
Check this out. This guy Parag Marathe over here.
Well, I guess I'm wording that wrong. Signing bonus. Yeah. You give him a $20 million signing bonus over 5 years, about $4 million per year, but then you're like spreading yourself so thin. We know the final piece here. 49ers are pretty close up to that $4 million already. I think they're at like 5 or so. Quick math, as Paul said. So it's just kind of, they need to get that done. The signing bonus is the final freaking piece here that needs to be done with Deebo Samuel until Jimmy Garoppolo's on the team. God dang it. I said we're stopping about talking about Garoppolo.
I told you. Look, man, I told you. The poetic justice would be Jimmy Garoppolo getting traded to the New York Giants, where I live 5 minutes from that stadium, and me having to see him all the time on TV when I watch the 1 o'clock games. That would be poetic justice. Come here. You want to say hi, Charlie Brown? Hi, Charlie Brown.
Oh my God. You.
Go, mommy. Yes.
But another thing I wanted to mention is like going back to like the social media aspect of it. When players put it out there in this non-direct way on social media, right? Like the assumption is always that, okay, negotiations must not be going well at this point in time. And I think teams don't want that. Teams don't want that to be out there. So they might not care in the sense that, yeah, we're still going to pay this guy, but they also don't want to look cheap. So I think that's why we still see deals getting done despite all of this like social media drama, because teams want to, show players that they have cash, not just the players on their team, but like impending free agents as well. Yeah, we'll treat you right. We'll pay you, that kind of thing. So I think that's one aspect to it as well.
Guys, I'm sweating.
I'm actually chilling for once.
Sweating.
Wow.
Whoa.
Steph is on a roll. First of
I'll
all,
skip the first part, but I'm
sweating. Did we get a Trinidad James reference like that fast from Steph? My goodness, man.
Yeah. Come on. We need a Steph bar real quick. Come on.
That was it. Speaking of bars, we were blessed with a new theme song that we need to roll out. Are we just waiting for training camp, or are we waiting?
We're going to get a new intro. We're going to get a new intro.
Yeah, I thought you said video graphic or something. Should we just plug it on
we gotta put a video. We gotta put a video to it.
We'll get.
Yeah, no.
I got someone working on it. Don't worry.
No problem.
I forgot to send him the video. I sent it right before this, so it may take some time, but it's being worked on. Don't worry about
it. Perfect. Hey, do you guys have any last minute segments here? We're about an hour in.
I was just gonna say, like, I look like my microphone today.
What the hell, man?
I didn't know. No one told me about this.
What the hell, man?
Wait, someone take a screenshot or something. Twinsies.
Oh my goodness, man. Look, oh my God. How do I follow that up? Today's Thursday. This time next week, the 49ers will be popping pads.
Let's go.
And Tuesday I get in. Steph, when do you get in?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. So you'll be at the so you're gonna be your first practice will be Thursday.
Wait. The first day is Wednesday. My bad.
Yes.
Getting there Tuesday night. My bad.
So Tuesday night, just like me. Wednesday, I'll get to see you. We'll be at training camp. Look at us. Look at us.
I'm so excited.
Look, we're this close to actual football, not hypotheticals, not anything like that. This, again, Leo, we said it on the Oh Hey There podcast on Niners Nation podcast. Subscribe to that wherever you get your audio podcast, by the way. This is the longest offseason in the history of off seasons. And this is including last year with Mac Jones. And here's how I'm going to explain it. Last year, 49er fans were united against the national media bullshit of Mac Jones at 3. It's like we all were arm to arm, like absolutely not. None of us believe. That's all cap. So it was long, but we were united. This offseason feels wild longer because, one, the national media just woke up today on Get Up and said the 49ers are all in on Trey Lance. Well, welcome to the conversation. And then we have the half that was Jimmy shouldn't go. You can't go with him. And it's happening in the comments right now. You got to stick with Jimmy. How can you get rid of him? So this offseason has been much longer than last year because at least last year I could say, for the most part, we were all united against the Mac at 3 stuff. All of us.
Hell yeah.
We knew it was cap.
Facts.
Yeah. Jay hit on that during the Oh Hey There podcast that was released this Tuesday and every single Tuesday on the Niners Nation podcast network. If you guys have yet subscribed, comment this video once it gets posted, or even comment here with us. What the hell are you doing? You're hearing me say this, so at least do one of those actions. And when you do subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, don't forget that notification bell so that you come here, join us, have this conversation. I read out to the comments. I see y'all going crazy on Shylock Swindlefolk in the comments because he is saying
let's just keep it civil. Let's just keep it civil, guys. We all have opinions, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I even should tell this to myself sometimes because I'm the worst on Twitter. Like, I'm always yelling at people. I need to chill with that. But let's just keep it civil. We're still here talking about a sport that is our entertainment, and that's it. Everybody love everybody.
I just want you to have fun.
I hope both Jimmy and Trey have fun, no matter what they do.
I don't care what happens in training camp. I just hope they have fun. I hope Debo has fun. I hope Nick Bosa with his shark-looking helmet has fun. Mm-hmm. God, that helmet's ugly. But I respect it because, take care of the body. But that helmet's freaking ugly. The helmet design. Hey, lastly, before we get out of here. Yo!
Avery, are you ready for some football? Yes. Whoa, let's go.
Go. Lastly, we've seen all these helmets coming out. This just hit my mental right now. We've seen all these alternate helmets come out. 49ers, their alternate helmets is basically the helmet they got. Should they go black?
Do they go to that one that they tried to go to and the media and the fans?
Oh, hell no. Hell no. That's ugly.
They literally try to change it. And for everybody, it's like, well, they never listen to fans. The hell they don't. The fans were like, absolutely not. And they got rid of those.
Can you imagine if social media was around at that time?
They got bullied out a bit like Kyle Shanahan with his draft pick.
Right. Like, Kyle was about to go get Mac, and he was scrolling through his Twitter, and he was like, damn, everybody wants Justin Fields and Trey Lance. I can't do this.
Yeah, I'm getting ratioed.
They're ratioing me on Twitter, guys.
Hey, yo, but how sick would that be? They go back
the black ones
to the black uniforms with the black helmet. That would be raw.
That was my.
Everyone hates the black uniforms, though.
I think
it's because the gold helmet looked weird.
Right, that's what threw it off was the gold
helmet. No, because people say you can't read the names, which is true. You can't read the names. I like the black, but
hey, if you're a fan, you know who's at X, you know who's lined up at Y, You know who's the running back. You know
I
who's
don't
the
need to see their
quarterback.
numbers.
You know who's
Like, come
27? It's
on.
Dante Johnson. It's written in scripture and written on the wall. Damn it, he's gonna be here forever. He'll be here past the time that Kyle Shanahan will be here.
You
I'm
know
gonna
what? I
retire
wonder if that's
myself from my day
I
job
wonder-
before Dante Johnson retires with the Niners.
I wonder if that's a competitive advantage though, not being able to see the numbers.
On film,
Right?
maybe.
No,
So
just because it's hard to see. Like
So
in person,
number
too.
so number 8 comes or number 9 comes out at quarterback, and you're like, what the hell's Robbie Gold doing out there? But it's like Trey Lance, a giant ass. We're having too much fun. All right,
Hey.
let's get the hell out of here. Hey, look, before we go, I don't usually promote other people, but Brad on his channel right now is interviewing Daniel
Killing
Brunskill right now. Get
Let's
over there and make sure
go.
you guys check that out and go show my guy some love, man. He is killing it. Not only one of the best, if not the best content creator in the game, a better human than that. Go check out my boy right now when you get off of here.
Go do it now. Peace out.
I'm about to
Love
go
ya. Go
watch.
Niners.
Yeah.